$59 is what we are shooting from the field on game lines. Money. 49% from the field on over and unders. Welcome back to the Cruise Dynasty podcast. Killing it. Gamble edition. That's what we shooting through 5 weeks. Making money. On the game lines, I've been in the positives every week. I believe poor man P. Miller too. But we got a whole slate for you. A whole slate. 13 game lines. 18 over and unders for your prize picks. Underdog, sleeper. Prop bets, whatever you want to call them. Got a little bit of disagreement on a few of them too. Got some Falcons, Panthers. Because we got Panthers fans in the crew. Falcons fans too. But let's see, I've locked in 3. Chris locked in 6. The Craftman 4. Phil, the poor man P. Miller, been flaming hot 6. He picked Seattle 3.5 tonight. Go ahead and tell P. Miller on that one. But add the podcast 5-star review. Tell a friend about the podcast. But let's just get down to business. Every Thursday, I go solo. And we get out our gambling content. This is for week 6. So we're getting it out. If you don't want to listen to that pod, just check out the description. Every bet that the crew has placed will be down there in the description. But thank you for listening to the podcast. Let's just go ahead and get started on these game lines. Like I said, last week we were 9 for 13. 9 for 13, that's insane. But if everybody's getting them right and everybody's hitting, then your record is good. We're shooting 59%, like I said, which is ridiculous. And it looks like if we can keep it up, we're going to have a strong year. But let's just start it off. Denver +3 versus the Chargers. That Denver defense is legit. I think the Chargers, they want to run the ball. It's going to be a slow-paced game. They're not going to be scoring a bunch of points on Detroit. They're certainly not going to be throwing the rock all over them. So Denver +3. I think I said Detroit, but Denver +3 versus the Chargers. Houston -7 versus New England. Drake May first start. Those 2 bets that I just said. I personally locked them in real quick. Denver +3 and then Houston -7. They got a easy matchup, easy win. I don't really see New England staying close. Washington +6.5. If there was one that the crew had in common the most, it was for sure Washington +6.5 versus Baltimore. The over and under set at 52.5. Jayden Daniels versus Lamar. Man, I cannot wait for that game. I'm going to be dialed into that one, watching that one for sure. I would even hit the over on that one. I ain't going to say we locked it in. We didn't lock it in, but expect a lot of points in that game. Washington +6.5. I like it. All right, this is where we get a little disagreement. Tampa Bay is favored by 3.5 versus New Orleans. And who is it? Oh, the poor man P. Miller's got New Orleans +3.5. Spencer Rattler's coming in. So that I would say that with news of Derrick Carr getting hurt, I would say that's probably been bet down. I guarantee you that line's probably at +4, +4.5. I'm not sure, though. I ain't got the odds sitting right here in front of me, but Phil's locked in at New Orleans +3.5. C. Swizzy and the Craft Man, both Tampa -3.5. I lean that way. I lean Tampa -3.5, but we'll see where it goes. Another where the crew disagrees, because of course, Atlanta, people starting to buy into Atlanta. -6, the Craft Man is locked in. The Falcons -6 versus Carolina. Chris, Carolina fan, he said +6 and the money line. +6 and the money line for Carolina. The thing is I think Chris is crazy, but wouldn't even be shocked even a little bit if that hit. Falcons always doing some dumbass shit. Green Bay versus Arizona over 47.5. Yep. I might toss a little money on that one myself because Arizona, their defense ain't no good. Kyler Murray, though, got it rolling. Big win versus San Fran last week. Jordan Love and Green Bay with all their weapons. Yeah, I like that. 47.5. Jacksonville plus 2.5 versus Chicago. Iffy on that one. T-Law, he looked good last week, but hopefully my guy can keep it going. Detroit -6 versus Dallas. That over and under set at 52.5 as well. I asked the poor man P. Miller because the 52.5 are the two highest over and unders I've seen this week, and probably the two highest I've seen all year. But the unders have been hitting so often, so I asked him about what he would do. We didn't lock these in, stayed away from it. We stayed away, but Detroit and Dallas would hit the under. Washington and Baltimore would hit the over at 52.5. Let me know what y'all think about that one. Green Bay -5 versus Arizona. Tennessee +1 versus Indianapolis Colts. And I believe Anthony Richardson's going to play that game, but I don't have the news in front of me right now. Cleveland +9 versus Philly. Las Vegas +3 versus Pittsburgh. And Seattle tonight +3.5 to cover against the 49ers. 49ers just lost. Seattle's been looking pretty good. I think they're 3-2. +3.5. I like it. All right, but let's just get to the thing. Let's get to the part that everybody wants to get to, want to hear the most. I got 18 over and unders. Last week we were 11 for 20. On the year we are 49%, which is real good. 49%. And heck, I need to start getting all this content into the Discord because there's levels to this stuff when it comes to doing these over and unders. Like, there's some safer bets. There's the bets that I like to place. I like to place the safe bets. But then you got folks like C Swizzy out there who like to do those ones that are risky but can win you a lot of money. That's really why our percentage is at 49%. If we all just sat down and hit a bunch of safe ones, we'd probably be at 59% on the over and unders as well. But we out here trying to win that real money. So I got 18 over and unders for you. This is all brought to you by the Craft Man, C Swizzy, NDB. Shout out to NDB. Lost money by half a yard. I was at that game. I did the same thing. I had me a little parlay set up. Half a yard. Ridiculous. But with that said, let's just get on it. Rico Dowdle. Less than 47.5 rushing yards. See, the crew, the one thing I've noticed about these guys is they don't like to do a lot of less. I've done two lesses, less than, taking the under on a couple bets these past 2 weeks, 0 for 2. So, Craftman going less. Rico Dowdle less than 47.5 rushing yards. Jahmyr Gibbs over 56.5 rushing yards. T. Higgins over 53.5 receiving yards. Tony Pollard over 59.5 rushing yards. Darnell Mooney over 55.5 receiving yards. I think I saw Darnell Mooney is questionable right now. So Jordan Mason over 1.5 receptions. Derrick Henry over 0.5 touchdowns. Brian Thomas Jr. longest reception over 21.5. And I think the crew is 3-0 on these type of bets. Longest reception. I know I hit on one. I think Chris hit on one, and I want to say we hit on two last week, the longest reception, and I like this one. Brian Thomas Jr., I actually got him over 54.5 receiving yards as well. Easy money. Brian Thomas has been automatic all year. Nick Bosa over 0.25 sacks, a little defense for your ass. Jordan Love over 1.5 passing touchdowns, and we've already picked the over in it, so I like it. Just tells you what the crew thinks of what that game's going to look like. Jordan Mason over 83.5 rushing yards. James Conner over 70.5 rushing yards. Saquon Barkley over 82.5 rushing yards. Jayden Reed over 57.5 receiving yards. Breece Hall over 53.5 rushing yards. Listen, man, Breece Hall, look for him to bounce back. Going against the 32nd ranked defense against running backs right now in fantasy football. That's Buffalo. Breece Hall's had a couple quiet weeks these past couple weeks. Look for him to bounce back. I would even look for him to score, but 53.5 rushing yards, easy. Bijan too, easy matchup. The only reason why I didn't lock in Bijan is because deep down I think Bijan's hurt. Easy matchup though. Terry McLaurin over 59.5 receiving yards. Jayden Reed. So we got two Jayden Reeds. I got one. We got caught him over at 57.5. And then I see another one at 60.5. That's why I like to get these bets in early. Because personally, I'm the one who locked in 60.5. But whoever got 57.5 probably locked that in on Tuesday. I think that was NDB. Shout out to NDB. And like I said, I got Brian Thomas over 54.5 receiving yards. Over and unders. Check it out in the description. It'll be right there for you. Place your bets. I say this every episode. I'll say it with the game lines. We're so hot on them. Take you about 3 or 4 of them that we like. Put them together and throw them in your MyBookies or whatever you got to do. FanDuel, whatever. Play some money on these game lines. Pick the best ones you like out of the ones that we done did the work. We did the work for you. You just pick you out of that sample size. Pick you 4 of them. Do the same thing with the over and unders. Try to match up that parlay on underdog. That's the thing, man. We hit on them so much. If you single betted all these, you'd make money like crazy. On underdog, you got a parlay. So you got to make sure you pick the right ones. Pick the ones you like the best. Big money in it, though. Big money. So check the description. You know we always like to throw a little word of DFS in at the end for your daily fantasy. FanDuel, you know, I got a homie on the job, won 11,000 on some DFS. Loves that shit. Did I say that last episode? I might have. Let me pull up. I'm going to go with C Swizzy's lineup for this week. I always read out one DFS lineup, and you know, if I was saying you was in one of those tournaments, one of those little stacks, I would say the cheap stacks. This is just me talking out my ass. Spencer Rattler, Chris Olave, that might be one that you could throw in your lineup. The poor man P Miller says he'd take a shot on Hunter Henry at tight end. The crew always loves to play the cheap plays at tight end. I might try to slide Noah Fant in. I slid him in my lineup tonight. C. Swiggsy, he's got Kirk Cousins going against Carolina for his quarterback. And his tight end is, what did I say, Hunter Henry. Chris and Phil on the same wavelength on that one. What else? And then the defense, cheap defense, was the Colts for C. Swizzy. So like I say, when these fellas play DFS, the strategy most of the time, not every time, but a lot of the times, cheaper quarterback, cheaper tight end, cheaper defense, so you can have the heavy hitters. Derrick Henry at running back, Najee at running back. Then you got Jayden Reed, Darnell Mooney, Jacoby Myers, and then in your flex, Tony McLaurin. In that game, you got Derrick Henry and Terry McLaurin, and both in a game where the over and under is set at 52.5. So look for them to score. Derrick Henry, I would look for him to score a touchdown, and I want to hit on Terry McLaurin on the over in the yardage, but probably to score as well. So that is your lineup for your DFS for your ass. And that really sums it up, man. Listen, man, I always go solo, I always go quick. I just want to get all the bets that the crew has placed out. Shout out to the crew. Thanks for putting in all that hard work. This is all the way through week 6, and we're killing it. Making money. Shout out to the poor man P. Miller. Shout out to NDB. C. Swizzy, my tech guy. The craft man. Add the podcast. 5-star review. We need them. 5-star review. Tell a friend. Yada, yada, yada. But with that said, we're out.